Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is March 11th, and today we're going to take a look at this system developing out over the Pacific Ocean that's going to impact the Pacific Northwest. We've got warm front action moving over the area now. That's why it's kind of cool and cloudy today with the high clouds moving over the area. You can see some wave cloud action going off the Cascades there. I'm not sure if you can see that from the surface. With the clouds aloft might be obscuring that a bit. You can see the system moving into southeast Alaska, bringing some pretty good snowfall to the higher terrain for British Columbia. It's just barely clipping the Canadian-Washington border there. And you can see the cold air starting to take shape over the Gulf of Alaska. This is going to be the story for the next week or two as this cold air eventually spills out pretty well. And it's going to give some good cyclogenesis out over the Pacific here. So we have a chance for incoming systems here for the next 1 to 2 weeks at least in the future. Checking out the rest of the country, you can see the winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings, a big swath all the way from Maine all the way down through Texas, even into New Mexico a little bit here. And we'll take a look at that system in a little bit of detail coming up here in a second. But you can see we've got a high wind watch along the Oregon coast, Lincoln City. I think this will be extended up towards Tillamook, or it should be anyway. It looks like the Europeans calling for some pretty strong winds, gust up to 60 miles per hour possible there for Tillamook. So it may get extended there. And we may get some wind advisory winds through the Willamette Valley with this system too. We'll have to see if they update that. But it looks like that's a possibility on some of the model runs coming up. And here we go for the rest of the country, the southeast. There is a tornado threat down there today. You see 10% across Florida, Panhandle, mainly an overnight threat. So just have heads up if you have any concerns down there through Florida, Georgia, the southeast. Now here is the European model run. Check this out. You can see the system of deepening pretty well to a 988 millibar low, fairly strong system, but it starts to fill rapidly as it makes its way onshore here. Some pretty good winds for the Oregon coast and maybe Willamette Valley, but Seattle's going to be skunked by this windstorm as you see that low move just south of the area and filling. Not going to be a big wind maker for Western Washington at all coming up here. And check this storm system out. This is why they have those winter weather advisories and the high wind warnings for the east coast there. You can see this developing system going to bring a pretty good swath of snowfall on its backside as it moves up and really deepens as it moves up towards Greenland. Look at that, a 929 millibar low. Just intense system there. We have our own big storm system out here over the Gulf of Alaska. It's going to bring a strong front on in through the day Monday and good mountain snows through Oregon and Washington with it. As you'll see it fill as it moves towards southeast Alaska. Put this into motion here. You can see we start to get colder air spilling out over the Gulf of Alaska here, which can give rise to systems developing on the southern periphery of that cold air. So we got to watch this. And this European run hot off the press is a good example of that. Look at this low pressure system. It's very weak here, but it starts to deepen quite rapidly into a powerful system as it brings a 987 millibar low right across the Olympic Peninsula into southern British Columbia. This would bring an extremely powerful gradient from Seattle to Portland. You're looking at 12 to 14 millibars. That's up there with some of our epic level windstorms across the Puget Sound. Again, this is only one run, but this kind of highlights the potential we have for late breaking waves over the region. As you can see, this very powerful storm gives a great example of that. And then really cold air behind it and really big mountain snows afterwards in a system like this. And then you can see the systems continue to roll in, looks like after this. And this is 10 days out here. That system would be sometime next Friday into Saturday. So this is just worth watching at this point. It's nothing to get alarmed about. It's still fantasy, but there is the potential for these systems developing on the southern periphery of that Gulf of Alaska cold air spilling out. Now here is the NAM 12 cam kind of showing the system. You can see it really deepens out here on Saturday evening. It starts to make its way into Sunday morning. That low right there is really filling, but you can see cast a nice gradient on the Oregon coast and maybe through the Willamette Valley a bit here too. And extending on out into the European here, I just wanted to show you guys this. You can see that low filling here, powerful low there. And this kind of shows that late development here as we go into next weekend. So we'll watch this one and see if this is on to something or if this is a one-off here. But again, there's potential for system development here with this cold air spilling out over the Gulf of Alaska. And let's see why this storm is filling for us on Saturday. You can see the cyclogenesis here. It deepens up pretty good, but you'll see it kind of gets cut off here from its main cold air source, and it just really leaves this system in limbo. It's why it's going to fill so fast, as the cold air aloft just really kind of leaves it hanging there, almost like a cutoff low. It just dissipates really quickly. And this is why this East Coast storm is so powerful. Look at this intense cold air aloft Again, this is 10,000 feet, 700 millibars. Look at this really cold air as it just spawns this powerful system up, and you can just see it extend all the way towards Greenland here, this extremely oppressive polar lobe at about 10,000 feet. Put this into motion here, and we'll watch our storm system for next week and possibly, and you'll notice the difference between this one and the one today. Here's the one today. It gets kind of cut off there. It's like it turns into a cyclone here, but now compare it to this system here. Look at this cold air that's spilled out, and this breaks perfectly on the Pacific Northwest, which will be a powerful blow through the Puget Sound. And I'll take some more time to look at this too, as you can see the really cold air spill out over the Pacific Northwest and the extended there. Now showing that system again, here's the one coming up here for Sunday morning as it moves through the area. You can see just no gradient over western Washington with this system as it's really cut off from its cold air source and briefly brings a strong gradient across the Oregon coast. Now going on to the extended here, on into next weekend, the ridge builds, transient ridge, there comes that powerful system. And these are 4 millibars, each one of these gradients. You can see that 4, 8, 12, probably a 13, 14 millibar gradient, which would bring 50 plus mile per hour winds through the sound. And this would pack an extremely powerful punch down the Strait of Juan de Fuca as well, which we'll look at in a minute. Here's a system coming up here on Saturday, right? There it is right here. Pretty powerful low pressure. You can see here, good winds along the Oregon coast. Here we are into Saturday afternoon, and then it starts to weaken quite rapidly as the occluded front moves onshore for Oregon, but leaves western Washington out of it. We might get some strong winds up through Whidbey Island, San Juan, some southeast winds through there, and bring this into the future here. And looking on into next weekend, I just wanted to show you guys this system, how it doesn't look like much here. Late breaking system develops, powerful occluded front would rake the Washington coast and really power through the Puget Sound here. And this would be the peak gust in a system like that. You can see up towards 60 miles per hour through the Seattle area, 75 mile per hour potential gusts down through the Strait of Juan de Fuca in a scenario like this. So this is just a heads up on what is possible in our region. I don't want people to forget that we get some really powerful windstorms here once in a while. And it's been a while since we've had a really signature windstorm here through the Pacific Northwest. I think we're going on 15, 16 years here. 2006, the Hanukkah Eve storm was really the last signature storm we've had for this region. Now checking out the GFS, you can see that system develop. GFS did pretty well with tracking this low right into the mouth of the Columbia River there. Notice how it fills it rapidly, but it does have that powerful gradient for the Oregon coast, maybe through the Willamette Valley. As a powerful low pressure system moves towards southeast Alaska, good agreement there. And notice in the extended of the GFS here, notice that cold air pouring out the same way the European does. So this is going to give potential for more system development on the southern extent of this cold air as it moves towards the region. That's what causes our windstorms, this tight gradient between colder polar air and more subtropical air. And if that lines up just right, that's what causes our big windstorms. So that's something to watch. There's good model agreement with that cold air spilling out here going on into, this is Friday morning of next week. And that's the same timing for that system that the European just raked the Puget Sound there on the model run. Now let's update this. This was a 12Z. This goes on into the extended. I'll F5 and bring that up to speed here. And here's the system that goes through and really fills quickly on Saturday. The next system brings a powerful front through the area Monday into Tuesday morning. Cold air would come in behind that, good mountain snows. And then you'll notice the Gulf of Alaska trough really gets going well here on in the extended. And this system right here would have potential. And we need to watch that. And then you can see a pretty good westerly gradient going across there as a ridge builds onto the extended here, the European, and then quickly goes away again as another trough opens up over the northwest. But getting pretty far into the future there. So yeah, this is the period of concern really is going on into late next week and as this cold air spills out over the Gulf of Alaska. Should be fun watching this develop. And here's the Canadian. I think the Canadian is not updating much today. There might be something wrong with the model. It only goes out to 66 hours. But you can see the system move through here and rapidly fill. Good model agreement with that as it brings good elevation, higher level snow. And you can see the powerful low over the Gulf of Alaska and a powerful front moving through there Sunday night into Monday and Tuesday across the region. So pretty set for that frontal system to come through on the day Monday. And some cold air behind that too. We might get some interesting shower activity behind that, which we'll go into here in the next couple of days once we get a little bit closer. Portland, you can see there is some potential for some 40 mile per hour gusts with this system coming in on Saturday night. And you can see a couple of them even higher there, but the mean is through the mid 30s there. And here's Hoquiam. You can see just over, the low pressure is moving just over the area there, so that's why you're not seeing higher gusts for Hoquiam. It's just a smattering if it low takes a little bit of a different track. Some gusts into the 40s and potentially up towards 50 at the most. Tillamook, check this out. The mean is above 50 for about 3 6-hour periods straight there. And you can see a lot of those scenarios are 50 plus mile per hour, even some 60 miles per hour plus as we go through on into Sunday morning. Here's down for Newport, Oregon there. Pretty good. You can see the mean up towards 50 miles per hour. Some higher gusts mixed in there in the ensembles, but it should be a pretty windy day going in Saturday night into Sunday morning there. Here's for Seattle. You can see that we really don't get those big wind gusts coming through here as that low stays south of us. Just a smattering. Probably some of these ensembles had the low moving just north of Seattle and bringing some of these 40 plus mile per hour gusts, but that's very unlikely at this point. As you can see, the mean is just barely above 25 miles per hour. And as the front moves through here on Monday and on into Tuesday afternoon, you can see some breezy winds behind it, just mainly around 30 miles per hour. Nothing to write home about. And so, yeah, here comes this system. It's going to develop and come in here Saturday night through Sunday, bring some good mountain snowfalls and some good winds to the Oregon coast, maybe the Willamette Valley. And then later on into the period next week, some really cold air will pour out over the Gulf of Alaska and develop some storm systems that are going to take their shot at us here in the Pacific Northwest and probably give us our best chance at a windstorm for a while here. So, yeah, if you guys are out and about, if you see any mountain wave activity clouds, send them to me on Twitter. They're going on out there. I just don't know if these are being obscured by maybe a lower cloud layer as this moves through. But anyway, we're looking at windstorm potential later on into next week. The system will miss Seattle, and it'll hit the Oregon coast, but pretty good snowfall amounts coming up here. So hope you guys are having a good day. I'll do another video tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later.